That for
That's illegal.
Time. His knee was down.
Let's be honest. If you look at him the way he is right here.
Aljamain, stay here. Stay here.
Yeah, right now, you can't.
Can't even get up.
Petr Yan will be disqualified, and Aljamain Sterling will be the undisputed UFC bantamweight champion.
Oh, that's so crazy. I don't like that a title can be won this way.
Joe, but guess what? There's so many different factors that plays into this.
You're right.
Because Petr Yan was winning the fight.
Yep.
Say they give him a rematch, Aljamain's the champion now. Now he shares in on the pay-per-view revenue.
Right.
There are so many different layers
It's true.
to
It's
this,
true.
right?
Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan. Hey MMA fans of MMA-INSIDE, today we bring to you one of the most anticipated matchups in the bantamweight division. Aljamain Sterling believes he had a better showing during his UFC 259 clash against Petr Yan than many believe. Sterling and Yan have exchanged jabs in the heat up to their rematch at UFC 273. The Funk Master has even accused the interim bantamweight champion of taking PEDs. When Yan posted a tweet of him being randomly tested by USADA, Sterling replied, "Good, test the rap more often." A fan then jumped in and said the current bantamweight champion was sounding as if he was beaten before Yan landed an illegal knee, which led to the Russian being disqualified. Sterling dismissed the fan's take and claimed he won every exchange against no mercy. While this may be a very narcissistic and ignorant approach, it was true that Yan gave a hard time to Sterling. "I won every exchange. You clearly didn't watch the fight." Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan had their first fight at UFC 259. No Mercy was leading on two judges' scorecards and was seemingly on course to retain the bantamweight crown when he landed an illegal knee, rendering Sterling unable to continue. Yan was subsequently disqualified, and the Funk Master became the first fighter in UFC history to win a title by a disqualification. This might be the funniest ever title declaration, as Sterling got in as a champ by mistake. Meanwhile, Dillashaw voiced up for Yan to be his favorite in the next title fight. However, Sterling slammed TJ Dillashaw for picking Petr Yan to regain his glory at the bantamweight.
Aljamain Sterling's a fake champ, in my opinion. He got the belt, but he ain't the champ. He knows it.
TJ Dillashaw opened up his thoughts on the upcoming rematch between Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan at UFC 273. The two-time bantamweight champion took the opportunity to praise No Mercy and tipped Yan to beat Sterling. Dillashaw called Yan the full package and claimed that the Funk Master didn't have the fighting spirit in him, while most people can actually agree to this thing. Dillashaw praised Yan with following words in an interview with ESPN MMA.
And Yan's a killer. You know, you see the way he fights. He stays real tight, stays clean, and he's got the mentality that he's a fighter, right? You got those competitors, you got athletes, and then you got fighters. And guys like myself and guys like Yan are the full package. You do all of them, you know, where I feel like Sterling's more of maybe a competitor, you know, or an athlete. And he doesn't have that fighting spirit in him. He's a little bit weak when it comes to that.
While Sterling took umbrage at Dillashaw's comments and insisted that 35-year-old still uses PEDs. Has anyone tested his nips yet? They look like they still may be up to no good, wrote Sterling. Aljamain Sterling seemingly fancies his chances in his upcoming UFC bantamweight title unification fight against Petr Yan. Sterling believes his rematch with Yan will be a clean sweep in his favor. The highly anticipated clash between the two was previously set to take place at UFC 272. However, the fight has since been moved to UFC 273 to take place in April 2022. In a recent post on Twitter, Aljamain Sterling offered his take on how his fight against Petr Yan would play out. Responding to a fan's tweet, here's what the Serra Longo fight team guy had to say. Tune in for another clean sweep, April 9th. Sterling's UFC 273 clash against Yan makes his second outing against the Russian. They previously locked horns at UFC 259 with the UFC bantamweight title on the line. During their first fight, No Mercy seemed to be on his way to successfully defending the belt against Sterling. However, The Funk Master walked away with the title after the then reigning champion struck him with an illegal blow to the head, leading to his disqualification.
Oh, look at
Another one,
that.
that one wrapped around Joe.
Round it. Look at him just pressing on the head here, though. That,
That's illegal.
his knee was down. His knee was all the way down.
Illegal knee. He told him before that, he said down. He said downed opponent.
Yan has since been eyeing for a rematch, hoping to reclaim his lost glory. Sterling was in blistering form going into his initial fight against Yan, having recorded 5 wins on the trot, including a win against Corey Sandhagen, while the favor is heavily in Yan due to the last fight. But we can't forget how blistering he was past the Yan fight. Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan indulged in another back and forth on Twitter, which seemed real personal this time. A recent tweet from Aljamain Sterling placed the blame on Petr Yan for moving the fight to UFC 273. The accusation led to a lengthy back and forth between the two on social media. He went on to claim that the UFC did not want an illegitimate champion headlining an event. Sterling clapped back at the former UFC bantamweight champion, declaring that he was open to locking horns with him on a day's notice. With a significant amount of bad blood between Sterling and Yan, their UFC 273 clash promises to be an absolute barn burner, one that fans would hate to miss. But nothing shies away from the fact that it would be one of the most exciting fights on the card. While everyone is up with Yan because of his impressive fighting before the knee, it can also turn out in Sterling's favor, as this is a game of just one punch, where one punch is enough to change the face of the opponent and the fight. So that's enough from us today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, sayonara.